Hello! The mysterious agency organizes a cruel social experiment in which people are put in front of the dilemma: to gain more food or share the last piece of stemia whom you do not even know. But who can? To die from hunger and for your greed. Goreng enters there, who sees better in people and believes that they are able to agree. But his dreams are very quickly crashed on a harsh reality in which, for the sake of survival, he personally will have to do terrible acts. Will he be able to curb his worst features and get out? In a rich, decorated kitchen, the chef carefully monitors the cooking process. It seems that he leads a whole factory and walks among many workers who diligently prepare the most exquisite dishes from the best ingredients. A man named Goreng wakes up in a strange concrete room. His neighbor, a yellow stranger, says that they are at 48 and will spend the next month here. This is a hole, a special structure in which people from the lower levels are forced to eat the food that the neighbors of the superfluous will leave them. To do this, a platform drives through a rectangular through shaft every day, which lowers Yasto from the first to the top floor, lingering for a short while at each level, so that the inhabitants can run around. The man behaves unfriendly and reaches out his hand. Put on your country of pits, Goreng. But the old man still seems that Trogasia is glad to be at this level, because they will get enough food. The mines go far down, and people are waiting there. Tremogasia has been here for many months and knows what says. Goreng is trying to agree with residents of other floors, but it is obvious that the old man is not to contact the gentle is appropriate. But the upper will not answer, such the laws of the pit. Tremogasia tires tired of speaking and occupies a pose to start meal. Platform is approaching. The old man recruits for food like an animal. This is the same lunch. It is so obvious that I can't even say obvious. Goreng looks with rotation on the table, littered with lunch and overturned dishes, and does not undergo food. He sees the arrogant look of a neighbor from above. Tremogasia is surprised that they did not drink a chirl. Apparently the teetotalers settled on top. He invites to eat at least something, and Goreng takes from the table apple prospectus. Tremogasia finishes the gilt from the bottle, throws it in the trail behind the departed platform, and spits on the trail. Tremogasia has no doubt that the saucer from the floors. They did the same as he, so this is true. Suddenly, the temperature rises sharply in the chamber. It will continue to increase until Goreng throws up the apple. After all, there is only while the platform remains at your level. The man throws the fruit down and is left without food. Goreng sits in a skyscraper at a business meeting. He signs a contract by which he will go to the pit voluntarily. Goreng can take one thing there, and he chooses Book of the Donker. News are prohibited here, so in this way he wanted limit yourself to quit smoking. In addition, for 6 months in the pit, he will receive a certain certificate. Tremogasia is surprised he will be a whole year, and will not receive anything for it, only a curse, and Tremogashi unfasten the fly and gives to the lower other liquids so that they know their place. Feeling Goreng nevertheless begins to carefully eat saps from the table at the old man who is trying to cram more each time. When the platform leaves, a human body flies through the mine, which stains Goreng with blood splashes. Tremogashi explains to a shocking neighbor, as he lived for a month already in the 8th tier. You are always fed upstairs, and the appearance of the platform does not cause any joy. From this, some completely lose their thirst for life, from boredom and meaninglessness. Goreng, who still believes in justice and thinks too much about life, just at the risk zone. After all, every month he and his neighbor will move to an accidental floor, and here the newcomer, who had long suspected Tremogashi, rightly asks the fate of his predecessor. Sharp knife. And your cellmate disappeared after your stay at the level without food. The old man is trying to get away from the accusations, when suddenly a platform appears, on which the girl Mikara sits. The old man is familiar with her, because she goes down every month to find her son. Goreng is again shocked by the fact that children are placed in the pit and tries to help the wounded girl. She is only silent and goes on. Trimagashi adds that Mikara kills his neighbors so that next month there is a chance to reunite with his son. It is possible that the fall of people on top of her hands is business, and he himself did not kill his neighbor. Together, they ate the remains of the one who fell from the floor higher to them to the platform. Trimagashi asks Don Quixote to read him. Goreng agrees to at least get distracted from the horror scene. The following days and weeks, cellmates spend behind joint meals and conversations. One of the nights, Trimagashi asks if Goreng believes in God. He asks to pray for them, as he feels that they produce a lifting gas. The next morning, they will wake up at a different level. If you live for a long time, but I like you. Goreng wakes up and discovers that he is firmly attached to the bed. The old man reports that they are at the 171st level. You cannot even dream of screams here, and therefore only a need to immobilize a younger and stronger neighbor. They will starve for a week, and after Trimagashi will begin to cut off the pieces from the Goreng. He generously promises even to share them with the captive. The atmosphere is complemented by the cries of despair of those who saw how low they fell. To reassure conscience, the old man begins to contact a neighbor not as a person, but as a snail that is cleaned and pickled for some time before going to the table as an exquisite dish. After a week, the first meal comes the time. Goreng is trying to appeal to the human in a neighbor, saying that he will consider guilty of his death not those who created the whole, but only Trimagashi and only him. This does not touch the old man, and he sticks the knife into the leg of the Goreng, when suddenly the platform with Mikara arrives. The girl wounds the old man and frees a man who, unlike many, was kind with her. In a rage, Goreng crawls to Trimagashi and kills his samurai plus. Later, he wakes up and sees how the old man eats Mikara. She brings pieces to wounded Goreng and gives him water, after which she goes below. While in the kitchen, the boss outside herself, from rage, reports the cooks. By the hair that has fallen into dessert, Goreng feeds on the decaying flesh, and sees Trimagashi in hallucinations. The old man says that Goreng committed the murder and eats humanity. Now he is no different from the unprincipled neighbor whom he condemned. The month ends, and Goreng comes to his senses on the 33rd floor. His neighbor Imagiri took a dog with her. The woman was an employee of the pit administration, who accepted the Goreng statement and remembers his name. At the interview, she asked him about her favorite dish, and Goreng chose snails. With each new person, the kitchen menu is replenished with their preferences. Imagiri came here voluntarily and chose Goreng in the neighbor, since he only decided to take a book with him. The woman talks about the device of the pit, which the administration calls the vertical center of self-service. There are 200 floors here, and if people were competently distributed food, then it would be enough for everyone. This experiment is designed to cause people a spontaneous sense of solidarity, but Goreng is already sure that everything is hopeless. Imagiri also claims that only those older than 16 years are directed to the pit. She divides food into portions and gives half the dog, and also tries to convince people from below to form portions of the same volume for themselves and people on plates to the level below. It is sent with such ideas far away until Goreng threatens to defecate on food if the neighbors do not listen. One day on the platform, Mikara descends again. This time, she cannot stand on her own, and Goreng and his neighbor put her on the bed to help recover from wounds. At night, the hungry Mikara rises and eats the dog Imagiri. Goreng is trying to justify the mother who makes atrocities for the sake of the child, but Imagiri interviewed her. The girl is childless and entered the pit of Sukulel. She is an actress who wanted worldwide glory. Mikara just went crazy and is looking for a fictitious child. Imagiri does not have to lie. The woman is mortally ill with cancer, and she did not stay long. She went to the pit to try to change something, but with the death of the pet, and she seemed to have lost all hope and fell into depression. At the next meal, on the last day of the month, Goreng discovers on the table of the snails that he ordered. In the morning, he wakes up on the 202 floor. Imagiri, who stated that she was only 200 floors, had already committed suicide. The voices of the deceased neighbors are chasing Goreng, urging to eat the body of a woman. The psyche of a man is at the limit, but he does what is needed for survival. And after a month, he meets a new neighbor at the 6th level. Baharad took a rope with him and wants to get upstairs with her. The man believes in God and claims that it was he who ordered him to climb higher. He manages to convince his neighbors to fix the rope on top so that he can get to them. But in the end, they only mock Baharad, and he almost falls into the mine where his rope flies. Goreng is immersed in a dream, and he comes to the idea of sending the girl upstairs, who managed to survive on the very last, the next day. Baharat dies from wounds, and Goreng, along with the girl, sits on the platform and falls into the darkness.